keep efforting Dominic in the background.
Okay.
Okay, we're good to go?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the North Canton City Council Committee of the Whole meeting. This is Monday, May 4th, 7:04 is the time. Ben, will you please call the roll?
Member Revolt?
Present.
Member Shredda?
Present.
Member Waring?
Present.
Member Stroya?
Here.
Member Folt?
Here.
Member Peters?
Here.
And let the record reflect that Member Fonte is having technical difficulties joining the meeting.
All right. I will ask for a motion and a second to excuse him until he gets on.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's get right to it. Community Economic Development Committee Chairman Revolt.
All right. First item is, may I have a motion to remove this item from the table?
So moved. Shredda.
Volt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Very good.
Motion carries.
For the purposes of this meeting, it should be noted that members Stroya and Fonte will not be participating in the discussion, nor will they will also be abstaining for any active votes this evening or official votes in the future. We have before you our latest version of our CRA, Community Reinvestment Area Ordinance. This was reviewed a week or so ago by Mark, me, the law director, and Patrick. I think the meat of the ordinance is contained in the 5th section. Draw your attention to it. It lays out the terms and conditions for the 4th section. I'm sorry. I'll take that back.
No, it's 5th.
It's the 5th section. Lays out the terms and conditions for both commercial and residential properties. I think the ordinance itself, and I don't want to be redundant, addresses 2 requirements that we have here that established is that we need to look at how we encourage commercial redevelopment and commercial investment in the community. The second is that this particular ordinance also takes a look at how we might dramatically improve municipalities' housing stock. And so if you'll notice, it basically lays out 4 scenarios: single-family homes, homes with more than 4 units, remodeling of existing commercial properties, and then new commercial properties and industrial properties. You'll notice which is written so that the only way on a residential property is eligible for the incentive is if the property and a new housing unit is built on that site. You notice the minimum of $250,000 investment in the new structure. For units of more than 4 residences, once again, tear down. You've got $1 million investment value, and it's 100% for 15 years. Over on the commercial side.
Hey, Daryl, can I stop you there for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm looking at says 50% for 15 years on that. You said 100.
Hang on just a second here. Which clause are you looking at?
It's section B. There's section 5B.
Yeah, are you looking at the most recent edition of this? Because mine shows the 100%.
It should be. You may not have the most recent copy.
You know what? I'm looking at my paper copy. My apologies.
Okay. So, let me walk through this then. 4 units of residential units of less than 4 units, 12 years and 100% with $250,000 investment in the new structure. All right. For more than 4 units, it's $1 million investment, 15 years and 100%.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I got you.
All right. Then when we get over into the commercial and industrial, this is all negotiable. And the school is a player in this conversation, but you can go no more than 15 years or 100%. And on the commercial industrial remodeling, it's a $250,000 threshold. And over on the new, we've also got a $250,000 threshold, but it is also 15 years and 100%. But again, these are subject to negotiation on the last two are subject to negotiation on a case-by-case basis. And what's important is that if you scroll down on your to the very bottom of section 5, where it says exemptions beyond 50%, we had this written in so there'd be no misunderstanding. 50% increase on assessed valuation must receive the approval of the school board. Unlike the old days when we could just do it, can't do that anymore under the post 1994 CRAs. So we think this is a pretty fair approach, and will likely serve our needs, particularly on the bigger projects. On the lesser ones, probably not so much. But on the big ones, if we need it, we've got it. Mark, what have I left out?
No, good review of what we covered there. Some of the reasoning for some of this that we had talked about is that North Canton's a very desirable place to live. We know that. And that the majority of our homes within our city are kind of like old Hoover factory homes with good sized yards. And so some of this stuff that's put in here can put an incentive out there for a developer to come in. And that's why I believe in the one section there, we've raised it to over $1 million because of the project scope of things, to maybe open up and take some of these homes and merge into bigger homes, which will create different tax bases and so on. So that was one of the things that and some of it is in the back of our mind that both Daryl and I, many of you have seen that happen in other cities. And, if we can just have someone come in and just try it for some areas of our town, they'll see how that will work in everyone's favor, because this is a very desirable place to live. On the other hand, I think this gives us a good, fair choice. Yes. Oh, joy. Okay. Welcome, Tom. On the other hand, this gives us another tool. As we all know, we've got things like DRD. We've got things like income tax. What we were trying to do in looking at all this is to be able to attract anybody who wants to come in that we want in here to really help our tax base. As I said, it's another tool to get people in here for incentives for businesses, which creates jobs, of course. And we all know what jobs does to us. It upgrades our income tax base, which upgrades all of our city services, our roads, and our town. So it really helps in the long run to make this a better investment in our city's future. This is just another tool for that. And I like the part where we have negotiation, because nothing should be in stone when we're talking about the business coming into town and what they bring to us. So we want people to be here, and this is going to be a proactive approach to say, you want to come here, you want to bring your jobs here of higher value. That's why we increased it to $1 million in some of those cases. And we're willing to take a look and talk about incentives to be here for our future. That's all, Daryl. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Let me go to the housing side just a second. We all have the housing study that was done as a requirement for the CRA application to the state. We can all recognize that we have the bulk of the town is actually filled with older homes per Mark's reference. What I think is interesting about this is people say, will this work? There are 4 homes on Glenwood and Summit that are fill-ins that are brand new, that went up. The value of those homes is worth in excess of $250,000. We have on Foster, fill-in being built right now. It's probably a little less than 250, but it's a brand new home going in on an empty lot. But I think what's really encouraging is that in an older neighborhood over on Jonathan, there's actually a tear down and a new house going up.
Mm-hmm.
So we believe, per Mark's observation, we have the bones and the ability to attract new residential development on a higher level. Net out result is this really benefits the school system once these homes are up and onto the tax rolls, but we just got to get them here first. And I think we can. We certainly ought to try. So
Yeah.
with that, can I open this up to anyone else aside from Fonte and Stroya? Is there anyone else who wishes to add anything?
For the good of the order, this is Tim, and although you may recall that we've heard some comments, especially for perhaps Section 5A, that it may be, the amount may be too much and we're looking too high. But within the little over the last week, I've had 2 different inquiries for me to walk them through how they could utilize this, take advantage of themselves of this tax abatement. So it absolutely has an interest.
It's a good start when we haven't passed it yet and people are going
Yeah.
to look at it. So that's good.
Yeah. And again, I think the other thing is that we believe it, in terms of the discussion, Mark, Tim, Pat, myself, we agreed on this number. We thought that it was good. We tried to look at some of the investments around. The fact of the matter is, if it's too high or too low, we can always change it. I mean, This is not cast in stone. This document is living and it's amendable down the road. We just got to monitor and see if it's working. And as I'd indicated earlier, one of the things we may want to consider down the road is some sort of assistance on demo. And maybe that's something the council will look at next year.
Daryl, this is Stephanie, and we've been talking about this for I feel like a long, long time. I feel like we've had this discussion. We've compared it with other communities, and we've seen article after article how it has worked. So I think it's great that we're moving forward with it, and I love your flexibility with it. I like how you say, hey, if this doesn't work, we'll change it. This does not have to be set in stone for the next 100 years. I think that's fairly important. So thanks for all your work, and hopefully we can move this forward.
Well, okay. I mean, if there's nothing else, go ahead.
Daryl, I had a few comments.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, just so I'm reading the residents. Let's look at A, for example, so I'm clear.
Mm-hmm.
Demolition costs can be included in the 250?
No, the demolition is not. This is the capital investment in the bones of the house.
Okay.
Because what we're trying to achieve here is a taxable investment of at least $250,000. So that's the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms.
I get it. Yeah, because when I read it, it says upon which the cost of the demolition and new construction is at least $250,000. So I think we want to make sure that the public's clear on that, if that's the intent. All right. Second thing is, so we're saying if you buy an older home and you want to blow out the back of the house and put a family room on, kitchen, another bedroom, whatever, that's not possible. The house has to be completely demoed.
Yep.
Or as long as the threshold is $250,000 added to the existing property.
Right now, it does not include an addition. Please go up. It requires the demolition of the property.
Right. We looked at that. We looked at that, and when adding on to a home, it's really not increasing the value to where you would get the benefit of this. And we looked at that and how much percentages have gone up and everything. So we're really looking at bigger things to really make it worthwhile.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, because I think what you're looking at, if you're saying you're in a lot and you have a house worth $130,000 on a city lot, and that's probably a lot of what we have in the older part of town. You'd have to tear that house completely down and make sure you have room to build a double car garage, a brand new structure all the way around, whatever you want, I guess, as long as it's over $250,000. So,
right.
is that a paraphrase? Am I correct on that?
No, you're absolutely right. And you know, Doug, to answer your question, one of the things that we really want to do, and this is not something we've discussed in detail, is remember that we're working on rewriting our zoning ordinance. And that zoning ordinance will have zones in it. And we may want to take a look at how we can do our 50 zones and allow the very thing that you've described.
Okay. Well, that answers that question. Thank you. Now, is the school, when you say the school, when you go down exceptions beyond 50%, is the schools weighing in on all four of these, A through D?
It's just on the commercial industrial.
Just on C and D.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's per the statute.
And then if they're building on, if there's a vacant piece of property without a demo, that's a negotiation. Then we're saying
if you're building on a property that's vacant, all right, where no demo has occurred, there is no abatement.
Right.
Okay. That's clear.
We felt pretty strongly that there's not that many vacant lots, and nobody should have incentive to build in a place where everybody wants to.
Well,
be.
that's what I was bringing up the last time this was brought up. So I'm very happy if that's the intent. I don't know if it reads that way for me, but as long as we know that's the intent, and we can move forward with it with that language, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Doug, if I can, and Tim and Ben, if you would take a look at A and B, Doug's question, if you would, in the third sentence of A, the third line of A, what we want to do is we want to strike the word demolition, because upon which the cost of the new construction is at least $250, because we've already got the demolition and subsequent new construction in the first line. Let's delete that so there's no doubt that the demolition is not included in the investment.
I agree. It was in my belief that the intent was including that, not just including that in the overall cost. So the way it's written, it is written as Doug mentioned, and we'll make that change to that line that it covers demo and new construction, but the cost of new construction is for the 250, not the addition of the demo.
Oh,
squared away.
Thank you, Daryl. One last question, Daryl.
Yes.
So I have an older house, and I say, for sake of argument, I'm paying $1,000 a half property tax.
Right.
Okay, I tear down the house. I put a new house that's over $250,000 on the lot. Is the forgiven property tax above the 1,000, or is everything forgiven?
No, it's my understanding, and I would defer to someone else, but anyone else. It's my understanding that when you demolish the property, okay, the land retains residual value. So the structure, the tax on the structure disappears because you demolished the house. Okay. The tax on the land remains, and then on top of that, you're going to put a $250,000 house.
Yeah, you're spot on. What happens is, although you have the appraisal there for the property and the structure, once you demo the structure, you ask for a subsequent appraisal. The whole shooting match, the property's still going to be the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, and if you look at your tax card,
right,
tax, Doug, is broken out into two components. Right. It's the land and the structure, and the second is the structure. Yeah. So this is a pretty good tool, I think.
No, that makes it more appealing. That's my point. If you're saying you get reappraised on the land value, which is a smaller percentage of the actual property tax you're paying, everybody's paying on, that really makes it more progressive as far as wanting to, rehab our neighborhood. So I appreciate that discussion points. Thanks for clarifying a lot of those issues, Daryl, and thanks for everybody working on this. I do think it's an important tool for our community to use if it's done the right way. So thank you.
Good
Yeah,
question.
I think the other thing is this, and let me just to follow up on Stephanie, I think we can move on here, but let me just say one more thing is if you look at the commercial and industrial sections of this ordinance, it really engages the Board of Education in economic development. And it has, in my opinion, and I speak only for myself, that board needs to pay attention to and encourage capital investment in this district. Because as I've indicated before, we're in the city of Canton, we're built out. So we've got to find ways to add valuation other than the triennial reassessment.
Right.
Hey,
Okay.
Daryl,
Yes.
I just want to add some of Member Foltz's considerations. Doug, that we're trying to take this look from a macro standpoint, and we want to change the nature of available housing stock. So it's not just taking an R50 lot and saying, oh, how can I squeeze a $250,000 home on an R50? You can't.
Right.
The idea is to take more than one parcel, take joining parcels. And I think that's where we then gravitate up to that 5B.
That's
where
true.
maybe we're putting a townhome
Exactly.
or the Avenue project up in Cleveland, where you've got these beautiful condominiums that are adjoined that are 4, but you can put that on 3 or 4 parcels put together, and it attracts a different type of clientele. It's not going to attract the people who are 55 and retired or looking to retire. We got to look for the type of housing that's going to bring younger people, working people to our community. So with that, not every R50 or R70 lot is going to be of equal value. The idea when you get new development coming in is now that the land, those lots become more valuable. And it tends to inflate the real estate valuations around the entire vicinity of where this development's going on.
Yeah,
That's a great point, Patrick.
Doug, to Patrick's point, I'm looking at a copy of Columbus Magazine, and in it is an ad for a development called the Homes at Pullman Way. And there's a beautiful picture. These are row houses. They're condominiums. There's a 15-year, 50% tax abatement on the improved value, which is the building. And they start at $500,000.
Yeah.
So, we're a little lower than that, but the point is being done elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate the conversation on it. Pat, your insight also. Hey, listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I'm glad we're working this at, there's going to be some more oversight, especially with the commercial and industrial, because we owe it to the school board, the district to weigh in on some of those larger projects. So it makes sense for everybody. And if it's done right, everybody should be in favor of it. So
and everybody should win a little bit.
And everybody wins. That's right. We got to try something here. So thanks for everybody's efforts on this. Appreciate it.
All right. If there are no other additional questions or comments, I would assume that I've got 4 votes: Foltz, Soretta, Warren, Revolt,
Peters.
Forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we have legislation with the proposed amendment for Monday night? And that concludes my portion of the program.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. Ben, when you bring that draft legislation forward, can you highlight where the changes were made per Doug's request?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. All right. Next up, Finance and Property, Chairwoman Warren. Floor is yours. Steph, are you on mute?
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Finance and Property, you're up.
She's still on mute?
I'm not sure here. Hold on. Where is she? Did she fall off? Oh, she's on mute.
Okay, I'm okay. I just can't see that I was working on the legislation and it hasn't moved up to the next one.
Oh, we haven't moved on the screen. Ben, there you go. There you go.
All right.
Okay, sorry about that. I was working on that and I didn't have my other one in front of me. Sorry about that. I kept moving screens. So we do this pretty much every single year. And these are just ones that kind of we get rid of and we put them up for auction. Gina, I don't know if you want to say anything else, but we have done this year after year. And it's a way for us to get rid of kind of unnecessary different vehicles.
Well, if I might interject ahead of Gina, it was a legislative request from administration. But you're correct. We do this like approximately twice a year, and it's for all types of equipment, and we warehouse it down at the park and rec garage. And, hopefully working with Gina and some new ideas that she's had with reserving on some of the items bid that work real well, and we'll be able to clean up some space and get some additional funds to the city. I'll throw it over to Gina if she would like to add in.
The only thing I can add, I think that this serves as the first publicity of such auction. It's going to be a Kiko auction, and I believe it's May 12th. It'll be online, but it'll be May 12th through the 19th on the Kiko website. This will serve as the first public notice of that auction.
And this is Catherine. Kiko also advertises at one time in the Canton Repository, one time in the Farm and Dairy. They also do Facebook and internet advertising and put a sign.
Okay, great. And just it's kind of interesting to look at the years. I mean, most of these cars are pretty old, and it's probably time that we move forward. So, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I would like to put this on the agenda for next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, moving on. Last, personnel and safety. We have a legislative request from. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was there a B?
There was a part B. Gina, do you want to talk about this? This was to amend our appropriation of funds for this year.
Sure. So we're requesting, we were able to sell the economic development bonds on the market. And so we will be receiving those proceeds of $3.425 million on May 14th. So we're requesting that this be put on the council agenda on May 11th, so that when we receive those bond proceeds, we can note proceeds, that we can then spend them and purchase the properties for that project. And then the second part of the appropriation amendment, OPWC, I think we have talked about this before. The OPWC, the 10th Street Sanitary Sewer Project as presented this year. So we're going to pull the whole project out of the budget, which was $274,560 of the city's money and $781,440 of OPWC money. So we want to pull it out this year. We'll reapply and put it into next year's budget. But in an effort to keep the budget trued up for COVID related, we'll be looking at all line items. We want to make sure there aren't things in the budget that are sitting there that we can't spend or covered for some other reason. We want to know what we truly have going further into this.
Well done.
Gina, thanks for looking at that. You and I had kind of talked, and I thought it was good that you were looking proactively at it. I think one thing we had maybe talked about, or I talked about with Pat too, possibly, was just looking at some actual numbers, because sometimes we don't spend all of our budget each year. And so I think to look at those actuals sometimes is important as well.
Yeah. That should probably free up more money for my bridge too. Walking bridge.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other issues? Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda also.
Okay. All right, good. All right, thanks, Steph, for bringing that up. I totally forgot about that email today. Okay,
problem.
next up, personnel and safety. We have a legislative request from Director of Finance Alabak to amend Chapter 111, specifically Section 111.12 of the codified ordinances for bonds, and to set a bond amount, dollar amount for the mayor, director of administration, and director of finance. The mayor and director of admin would be set at 50,000, and the director of finance will be set at 250,000. Now, Gina, do you want to weigh in on this?
This was a piece that every year on the audit request list, they request a copy of the public official bonds. And so in looking at those, we also found in the charter that the amounts should be approved and set by council. So it's an annual process. If council was the amount at 50,000 for the mayor administrator and 250 for the finance director, we are good to go for this year. If you wish to amend those, we can do that as well.
Okay. Questions from council?
Nope.
I'm not to be a sticky wicket, but
You will.
I am. I'm just that way. I'm OCD and I'm proud of it. But I don't know that this agenda request format is working. Again, this is one that was requested by administration. I appreciate Gina taking the lead on it. I don't really need to add anything to it, but I'm just trying to follow the rules. And if you're expecting the person who submits the agenda request to speak, I just need to know what I'm doing. So
I got you, Pat. You know what I'm looking at here, and it does have you. I'm looking at the legislative request right now, and it does have you. I looked directly to the right of the check mark, and it said Director of Finance, so I apologize for that.
no, and I appreciate Gina. I'm going to tell you, working with her has been a blessing, and she's found some stuff. And this is one thing where she wanted to get this cleared up. It's been a nagging issue. We went back, looked at the charter. Yeah, we should have these bonds in place. We looked at, who could provide those. We contacted our new insurance carrier, and they were able to deliver for the administrator and the mayor. Gina was proactive and got hers done right away. We were waiting on the insurance change to get ours done, and they contacted other communities and to see what the standard limit was for mayors and for administrators. And that's why we came up with the different amount.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you, Gina, again.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Any other questions from council regarding the bonds?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that concludes the agenda. Before I adjourn, though, I'd like to give the mayor the floor for a few moments. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Peters. Folks, I just want to remind everyone that starting tonight, May 4th through May 8th, it's our Salute the Seniors for our graduates for class of 2020. You know, they have endured a lot these last few months. And this is the beginning, hopefully throughout the month of May, you'll see them celebrating different times and occasions where they'll be going through their graduation process. So just want to bring that to everybody's attention that when you see a senior out there or a family member that has a graduate, just remember to reach out to them, thank them very much, and let them know that we're very proud of their child. And we hope that they'll always remember this time, even though they've had some issues that we've had to deal with, or they have. Just keep in mind that out of some of the greatest contributions to society arise out of the worst circumstances. And hopefully our kids will rise to that occasion and make great contributions to the betterment of our community and for themselves, their families, and for our country. So congratulations. Our salute to the seniors starts tonight. And that's all I have, Council President. Thank you for the time.
And Mayor, we thank you. We thank you for everything you're doing as well. And for those on the meeting or on the virtual meeting here that are looking at the screen, just a quick a moment here to talk about the council calendar. Just an FYI, Monday or May 25th, there'll be no council meeting due to Memorial Day. And we have a council meeting May 11th, and 18 will be a committee of the whole.
Hey, I got a question, Jeff, when you're done.
Yes, Dominic, floor is yours.
Hey, I wanted to check with the administration to make sure we feel confident all the flags will be out for Memorial Day.
Yes, they will all be out as if it was a regular Memorial Day. We will get them
Hey,
all.
thank you. So we're mentally going to have a parade in our backyards, I guess.
Yes, Dominic.
Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Hopefully, I'll have some information out to the public and you all by Wednesday with some of the closings that we have had to make in cooperation with many of the community organizations that we've been in contact with over the last few weeks. So thank you for your patience on getting the flags out.
See, Mayor, one quick other thing. So real quick, I know you and I talked a little bit about and I think Mark and whoever else was there about some of the things that we are doing, like say, what's open, just as a reminder, maybe a bullet point list of like, the parks, the trails, different things, just to remind people that we're not totally shut down. There's still a lot of things to do. So maybe if you have a list that we can echo out throughout the community would be great.
Absolutely. That list is completed and it's always open for additions, but absolutely we'll get the information out.
Can you mail it out to, yeah.
We have
limitations. You can mail it out to the council members.
I will do that.
Okay.
Mr. President, could you tell me the schedule again? May 11th is what?
May 11th is a council meeting. May 18th, committee of the whole. May 25th, there will be no council meeting due to Memorial Day. But as always, this council is very responsive. If you need a special committee or council meeting, we will be more than happy to oblige as if city business requires.
I'm going to need a special regular on May 18th to follow the committee.
Okay.
And that would be for property acquisition purposes.
Okay. Well, let me entertain a motion and a second to amend the council calendar to include a virtual council meeting pertaining to property acquisition immediately following the committee of the whole.
Revolt moves.
Right, a second.
Second, Troy.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Ben, can you make sure that's on the next calendar for us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it, Patrick. Anything for you. All right. Well, this concludes the committee of the whole meeting. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Revolt moves.
Second, Foltz.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay
Thanks.
safe.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.